My name is Logan Schweitzer. I am a production lead and I have been at AROW Global for 5 years. So me as a production lead, I supervise the line and how jobs flow through that line. If anybody runs into any issues throughout the day, I'm there to get them the answers that they need so they can complete their tasks. For me, I can't really sit still. That's one of those things where you start looking at the clock and that's what makes the days drag on. In my position specifically, this is something where I'm always on the move and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm always able to help somebody out, and that's something that I love to do. My role before AROW, I was actually a fiber optic laser operator. All that was, it was me loading a program into a CNC laser machine and loading a piece of steel onto the grates, operating that program, taking the exoskeleton off, stacking the parts onto pallets. It kind of got repetitive for me. I worked at that job for, I'd say, about 1.5 years, and the people were great, but it's just repetitive, and you really got to start to like what you do, especially if, me being as young as I am, I'll be working for the next 45 some years, so it's important to like what you do. So when I first started over in assembly, me not having any background, it was kind of tough for me to really get a good hold and give the people the help that if anything were to come up, any questions, me not knowing how to do that job was kind of tough for me. So I made it a point, I worked with everybody for at least a week to get to know their position and any issues that might come along. But me with that fabrication background on the other end of the building, that definitely helped me out a lot. Management has been awesome to me. When they first approached me for the assembly position, that was something that I didn't really expect, me not having any background in assembly. But they worked with me. Any questions that I had along the way, they were more than happy to answer. And 6 months later, I'm happy to say I know what I'm doing. Even somebody coming out of the gate with no experience, really what we prefer is that you're able to read a tape measure, caliper, stuff like that. Reading blueprints is pretty important, but even if you don't have that skill, but if you have that drive, we were more than happy to teach you. And I've seen people come into the door with no skills, and they're one of our top people now. Training minimum, I would say, is at least 2 weeks, depending on the difficulty of the job you'll be working on. But I can tell you right out of the gate, there's always going to be somebody working with you. And even when your training is complete, if you have any questions, I myself or any of the trainers would be more than happy to help you out. So my hobbies outside of work, I like to work on my car, drive my car around. I do autocross, so I'll take my car out onto a track. Otherwise, home improvement, stuff like that. Like I'm going to be putting in hardwood floors, so it'll be fun.